Good morning and welcome again to Summit, the program where we keep you abreast with happenings in the political, business, education, and all sectors of the economy. I am Jumoke Michaels. You're welcome. Banji, good morning.
Jumoke, good morning.
Good to be here again today.
Doing our best to contribute to the growth and development of this country. From journalism, that's the only thing we know how to do and know how to do it best. And that's our own very
tiny
contributions. It's the midweek edition of the program, and just as Jumoke has told you, what Summit stands for is updating you, letting you know what is happening, what is actually trending. So much is actually on our table this morning, and we assure you that this one is going to be even much a bumper package than the ones you've watched in the past.
Yes, yesterday, the Islamic sect Shiites were actually at the National Assembly protesting the continued incarceration of their leaders, Ibrahim el-Zakzaky and his wife, Zainab Zakzaky. You know, it's already 4 years now. They've been in continued incarceration, despite several court orders that they should be released by the Buhari-led administration, and that order has been flouted over and over again. You know, and so yesterday, and that yesterday is actually not the first time this sect is protesting, but yesterday they took it closer home to the National Assembly, where a peaceful protest eventually became bloody because several were injured and taken to the hospital, including policemen. So that calls for deep retrospection now, because it's getting
out of hand.
It's becoming getting out of hand. So that's why we need to look at this issue today, because Amnesty International and other human rights bodies have actually also asking that this case should be investigated, and what exactly is going on.
I'm aware that just a couple of days ago, the Nobel laureate, as Professor Wole Soyinka, actually did advise this administration that they should avoid selective obedience to court orders. That when the court actually gives orders, that this administration should actually obey all, without actually picking the ones they think is good for them, or the ones they think is not good for them.
And then also the Dasuki story is also the same
is
thing.
In the same category.
After, despite several court orders, he's still in detention.
And you said a peaceful protest is supposedly peaceful.
Yeah, it's supposedly
peaceful because the Shiite members were apparently, or let me say ostensibly, maybe frustrated after waiting for justice for years, and they felt the right way, or what they thought was most effective in their own case, was actually to take laws into their hands, take the battle to the National Assembly, whom they felt could actually influence the executive to rescind its decision not to obey court orders. But see the way it has turned out to be. Lives were lost on both sides. The police tried to prevent them, and they found out that the Shiites meant more than a peaceful protest, and everything went out of hand. But how far can we actually go? Because the Shiites have vowed to continue the protest, irrespective.
You know that they vowed, and then also that between 2015 and 2018, 472 of them have lost their lives already.
Allegedly.
Yes, have lost their lives already in this same protest. Now, if I don't know if anyone died yesterday.
3.
But if they did, 3.
3, so I said on both sides.
You know, so that makes it the 475 dead already between.
Needless death, you may say. Needless death, because even the protest, the continued incarceration was also needless, because we're in democracy, and democracy cannot thrive where the rule of law is not actually in place. The rule of law, the law says release him. Yes, of course. The court has not actually pronounced him
guilty
or otherwise.
Yeah.
But the rule, I mean, the court order says free him granting bail,
Bail.
and then the trial can then proceed,
You
and
know,
you also have
do
the
you
right.
know that the bail is actually 25 million naira each for him and his wife? They were granted bail for 25 million
The
naira
sum of
each.
25 million naira each.
You know, and to let them go.
Okay, Jumoke,
Oh well.
we've done our bit.
We've done
That's
our
as
bit.
much, I mean, just
Yeah,
scratched
yeah,
it on
yeah,
the
just,
surface.
yeah.
Our guest. will
Yeah,
do-
our guest today will talk us through this issue this morning, and we'll hope that relevant authorities are listening to the program and will take necessary steps to make sure that the Shaites get justice and their voice need to be heard and listened to. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll have our guest discuss this issue with us this morning.
I need the police that can respond to emergencies first.
I want the equipment I need to do my job.
I want a police that won't harass or arrest me for no just reason.
I want to be valued for my work, not feared by honest people.
I want a police that won't ask me anything for the boys.
I want a decent salary that is paid on time.
If it happen with good laws
Proper funding.
Training.
And cooperation.
if it happen.
If it happens.
If it happen.
All right, welcome back. It's still Summit, and today we are talking about the El Zakzaki issue, the Shiites and the police clash, which happened yesterday, and that wasn't the first time. Joining us this morning, we have Mr.
Nelson.
Ekujumi, a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good
I had to
morning.
make sure I pronounced that your name very well today.
Did you get it right?
Ekujumi.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, and I'm sure you were listening to our intro.
Yeah.
The focus is the continued incarceration of the leader of the El Zakzaki, the Shiite sect, as Ibrahim El Zakzaki, in the last 4 years. And you and I are aware that several court orders have actually been issued pronouncing the bail of the incarcerated the Shiite leader. But even as we speak, he has remained in custody, and the Shiite members have continually protested. Initially, it was mere, simple, very peaceful protest. Yesterday, they took the same protest further by going to the National Assembly. And then what was supposed to be a peaceful protest initially turned out a bloody one. Very, very bloody one. 3 lives were lost. And we're asking, to start with the continued incarceration of the Islamic sect leader, Ibrahim Ezza, was it necessary? These are, to me, needless deaths, needless confrontations, needless protests. Do you agree?
No, I disagree absolutely with you, because I recognize the fact that a government has a responsibility to protect lives and property and ensure public order. And where the government realizes that there is a threat to that public order, the Constitution of Nigeria gives the government the authority to take the needful action. And with regards to El Zakzaki, even though the courts have given rulings directing his release, we are also conscious of the fact that the Constitution of Nigeria, which is the ground norm, that even the court, that is a guide to the courts, also recognizes the fact that where national interest and personal liberty clash, that national interest will become supreme. So in this case, the courts have told the line of civility that look, you cannot detain somebody more than 48 hours under the law without charging him to court. But also the same constitution that says you cannot detain him more than 48 hours, the same constitution also gives the government the powers to put national interest above individual interests. So that is where we are at a logjam now. The constitution that gives the executive the powers, to determine national interest. How will we be able to make the judiciary realize that, look, your ruling is not in the interest of the nation, and that is why the executive has continued to hold on to this man. And unfortunately, I don't know how people can be saying peaceful protest, because what we saw yesterday was not in any way peaceful. I saw vehicles damaged. I saw security operatives being carried, and we even heard that one of the security personnel there was shot. We had reports that guns were snatched. So for me, I wouldn't succumb or submit to groups like that, taking the laws into their hands no matter the provocations. I would expect that if they take the civilized option of peaceful protest at all times, at the end of the day, maybe we'll get justice in this matter. But going the routes that they have taken yesterday, like they have done in some other previous occasions, I don't think it is the best for us as a people. Because I also recognize that just yesterday or 2 days ago, some residents of Abuja came out publicly and they were calling on the government to take serious action against the Shiites, that they become a threat to the peace and tranquility of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And less than 24 hours after that call on the government to do the needful with regards to this group, we saw what happened yesterday, and the police authorities have issued the riot act that they are going to be on alert. So I hope people who are encouraging them to take the laws into their hands also recognizes that when you do that, that there are consequences.
All right, I want to ask the charges against Ibrahim El-Zakzaky and his wife is a criminal conspiracy and culpable homicide. Now, could you throw a bit more light on what really went down to make you say that they are a threat to national peace?
I'm not the one that said that.
No, I know. Yeah. I know you're not the one that said that. But just throw a little light on
But then you also said that the government's action is hinged on national interest.
On national, that's what the government says.
So can you also throw more light?
Yes, the charges against them at the court was culpable homicide. That when you say you are engaged in culpable homicide, it means that you have conducted yourself in a manner that has led to the death of somebody. You were not directly the one that committed that act of murder, but your conduct. Maybe you drove your car in a way, and when that man was trying to run away from you on the road, he or she fell into the gully and lost his or her lives, or at least lost his or her life. So, in this case, the government has been forced to take them to court, and the court has ruled that they should be released. But the government has come out and said, look, we are holding this man because of threat to national security. And that is where I said, under the Constitution of Nigeria, the only authority that can determine national security is the executive. Even the judicial officer, the judge, except he invites experts, he cannot be privy to what constitutes national security, because national security is not a matter you discuss with every dictum and addict, no matter your position in society. So what we are saying in essence is that if the Constitution has given the government, the executive, the powers to determine what constitutes national security, and in determining what constitutes national security, the same Constitution has also said where there is a conflict between the individual liberty, the right of movement, the rights of any individual, where there's a clash between the right of individual and national security, the national security takes precedence. I'll give you an example. In normal situation, if somebody is mentally challenged, definitely you want to say under the law, that man or woman has a liberty. But when the law also gives us the right to quarantine such an individual in order for him not to be a threat to himself and to the larger society. That is why you see that when people are mentally challenged, they are picked up, they are locked up, in psychiatric centers. So in that also is a viewpoint through which you can look at the issue of national security versus individual liberty. You can see that somebody who is mentally challenged, individual liberty is suspended in the interest of the collective interest, which we can call national security as well.
Well said. But I'm sure you're also aware of the concerns of some well-meaning Nigerians, leaders of thought. Professor Wole Soyinka is one of them. And just a couple of days ago, he said he's actually afraid and is worried about this government's stance on selective obedience to court orders. Now, in democracy, do you not see that this stance is at variance with the rule of law, with the principles of democracy? Where you say the government can choose to obey a few court orders and honor some. How do you reconcile that?
No, I think you must recognize the fact that Professor Wole Soyinka spoke as a Nigerian. Also, you must recognize the fact that those in government have a responsibility to the collective interest of all Nigerians. So they are the ones that wear the shoe. They are the ones that know where it pinches. Professor Wole Soyinka just spoke like a layman. He doesn't have any constitutional responsibility on his shoulders. But the president of Nigeria swore on the Holy Quran to do justice to the people of Nigeria. Professor Wole Soyinka never did that. So if the president and his executive arm of government have discovered that in the discharge of his executive or presidential responsibility, this is a threat to the collective interest of the people, and it takes a stand in his own wisdom. Because don't forget, when this government came out and said, we are holding El-Zakzaky in the interests of the nation, a lot of us we will not be availed those facts. You recollect that when they had that brush with the convoy of the Chief of Army Staff, and you know, that was the beginning of this whole brouhaha. And a foreign country tried to intervene. I'm sure you must have watched the presidential interview where President Muhammadu Buhari said he told the president of that country that, please, this is an internal affair of Nigeria. You don't have to intervene because we don't intervene in your own internal affairs. You know, that is the way it should be. So in this case, once the threat to national security in the view or with the available facts to the executive is still there, they will have grounds to suspend or withhold the individual liberty of an individual. I'm not in support of selective obedience to court order, no. But what we need to do as an individual, as a people, is that there's a need for us to go back into our constitution and look at how do we determine who should, you know, have the powers to have a right on that national security. Because as we speak now, under the Constitution of Nigeria, the only authority that can determine national security is the executive. Unless we have to frame our constitution in a way that, look, what this national security that the executive is holding on to exercise its powers, can we have a division of that powers between the executive and maybe the legislature, or between the executive and the legislature and judiciary? But as we speak, that lacuna, because I will call it a lacuna, because today it's El-Zakzaky, we don't know which one it will be tomorrow. It means that lacuna, that opportunity of national interest that the Constitution has given the executive at any point in time, whether it is genuine or not, it can be exercised. So it is that power we have to look at a way of whittling down, such that that power will not reside in only one arm of government. It should, you know, it should be divided with other arms so that they can share part of that function. But as we speak now, if the government is holding you based on national security, they are still in line with the Constitution. So we need to look at the Constitution and do something about it.
All right, I want to ask, has the Shiite sect at any other time, aside this scenario you painted that they
had a clash.
Okay, with the Chief
Convoy.
of Army Staff. Yeah. All right, have they had any other issue before that
Oh, they've had several. They've had several. Even in the days of former President Goodluck Jonathan, you recollect, they also had that clash severally, and even previous governments before them. So they have this history.
They already have a history.
They have a history of trying to be a state within a state. Because if you read the reportage around the activities, there's this yearly, or I don't know, when they hold this procession. When they are holding this procession, they take over the public space, forgetting that this public space belongs to all. They infringe on the rights of other Nigerians. And that is what the government was saying. That look, in the exercise of your right to religion, you can't infringe on other people's, even their rights to movement. So they have a history. Like, some people have tried to paint it that, they have a history of trying to assert a state within the state. And it is impossible because we only have one constitution for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, except if they can carve out their own country out of somewhere else, and go and get international recognition. But so long as they are carrying out the activities within the geographical expression within the territory of Nigeria, they must be bound by the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, I'm sure many more people will understand now.
The unfortunate incident that actually occurred in the National Assembly yesterday was, let me say, unprecedented in the last 4 years, as you're referring to the case of El Zakzaki. Now, it started out supposedly as a peaceful protest. It actually became so violent. But the Shiites have actually threatened that they will continue the protest in a more serious way or more violent or whatever. Would it not be better, for instance, for the government to actually address the issues rather than allow it to snowball into greater violence?
Yes.
You and I are aware of how Boko Haram actually became a kind of a big issue in the country today. We started out case of their leader who was incarcerated, and somehow along the line they lost him, and the members felt, oh, this is an injustice, and it's snowballed into a greater national issue. Do you not see the same pattern the same scenario being played out here?
I don't see it because I recognize that the state has an instrument of war, and it will not be in any group interest to try and level war.
To try and
level war on the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That's for the Shiites.
That's
to
for
try
the
to
Shiites.
level
Yeah,
war.
because if referring, because I don't have that information that they are threatening, I must advise them to tread cautiously, because the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has a responsibility, and I'm sure the government will not be blackmailed, to dance to anybody's tune, other than to dance to the tune of the national interest. But be that as it may, there's nothing wrong if the Shiites continue with their protests, but in a civil and peaceful manner, such that their protests or their grievances does not in any way violate the laws of the country. Because under the Constitution of Nigeria, they have the right to protest from January to December. It's a constitutional right. Nobody can hold them to that. But when they are holding their civil disobedience, they must ensure that they are not infringing on other people's rights. Because where their right ends is where other people's right begins. So one expects that so long as they are aggrieved, because I'm not a Shiite, so you won't expect me to.
I'm not either.
You won't expect me to feel their pains that their leader has been incarcerated, But I expect them that no matter the provocations, I expect them to allow civility, to allow responsibility, to reign supreme in all their conduct, such that it won't result in the waste of innocent lives and destruction of properties. It won't be in anybody's interest, either the government or the Shiites or the larger Nigerian public. So I will encourage them that as much as they have the right to their protest, they should please try and make it peaceful.
But now that the legal option does not seem to be working for them, so what options?
We should take that question after we come back from this break. Let's just hold it there. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue the discussion. Don't go away.
I need the police that can respond to emergencies first.
I want the equipment I need to do my job.
I want a police that won't harass or arrest me for no just reason.
I want to be valued for my work, not feared by honest people.
I want a police that won't ask me anything for the boys.
I want a decent salary that is paid on time.
If it happen with good laws
Proper funding.
Training.
and cooperation.
if it happen.
If it happens.
If it happen.
JUMI.
Yes.
Ọkọ̀ ẹkún.
You're welcome back.
Yeah,
Welcome back. Welcome back. The program is still Summit. We apologize for this rowdy host. All right, we'll continue with this discussion. We still have Mr. Nelson Ekujimi here with us in the studio. All right, Ekujimi, please, that question you were
I was trying to play more or less what you may call a devil's advocate here. Now, what the shites, what may have led to their frustration is the fact that the case has been in court for 4 years, and the federal government has chosen, in its wisdom, not to obey the court orders to grant the incarcerated leader bail. So they probably took that option, thinking that they may be able to make maybe greater impact to whip up public sentiment in their favor. So what other options? I was asking, what other options do you think may actually work in this case?
I think I recognize that we're in a democracy, and democracy promotes tenets of dialogue, discussions, debates, intellectualism. So I would expect them to revolve their agitations around what the group stands for. In that way, they will be able to engender public confidence, because even before the incident that happened yesterday, a lot of people have had misgivings about the shites. But when you try to sell your manifesto and you have a lot of people on ground, buying into it, at the end of the day, it will have a telling effect on the government, and also it will have a telling effect on those security reports that maybe the government is using, to hold on to your leader. So I won't expect them to continue in this path of violence, because I must be honest with you, with what they did yesterday, a lot of people are very, very aggrieved with what happened. That look, with the reports we had even from the newspapers, that they snatched rifles from security operatives, and you know what that means in any society. So it means you are not a lawful, law-abiding organization. That you are lawless, and no society will want such organization to exist where people can take the laws into their hands because they agree. Because there's nobody who, in his own confines or the other, is not agreed one way or the other. But we must always recognize the fact that there are channels for addressing grievances. As I'm sitting down here, I have problems with some persons that, ordinarily, if not because of the rule of law, you expect me to take the laws into my, but I will now have to engage with other minds and say, look, this is the problem I'm having. Please advise me the way to go about it. So that at the end of the day, I that am the aggrieved, I don't become, a suspect, or I don't become an aggressor now, who will be running from the law, who will be made to face the law. So I think they need to be encouraged to promote ideas around what the group stands for, such that even the reports, because part of the security report that might have made the government to still hold on to their leader, and the government is saying, look, we are holding this man because of national security, is what they exhibited yesterday. If a group without the leader can go as far as reported in the newspapers to snatching rifles from security operatives, try to forcefully enter a security zone, because the National Assembly is a security zone, destroying cars, burnt, because I saw pictorials of a burnt car. I saw pictorials of cars with damaged windscreens, side mirrors and what have you. So it tells you clearly that that group has not done justice to its image.
Violent, you're trying to...
Yes, they have not done.
Mr. Kujimi, see, I have lived in the north before. I have witnessed when these sect people mean business and they want to get attention or they want to satisfy a cause, is do or die. You know, when they believe in this, their cause, or let me call their Islamic particular sect.
No, don't say Islamic. Say the cause they are believing.
Okay,
because I don't think Islam is a religion
it's a religious body, the Shiites.
Yeah, they are religious body, but Islam as a religion will not promote.
Okay, all right. So let's say the sect.
Yes.
When they believe in a cause, is do or die, and they go all out to ensure that they get what they are after.
Yes.
Now, with this kind of mindset, with this kind of people we are dealing with, like Banji said, this Boko Haram started in this way. What I'm trying to do is that, are we trying to downplay what these people are saying? Because we should know them based on what Boko Haram has done so far.
Yes.
That until we get what we want, we will continue to pursue. So if they say that they are willing to take this thing all out to get what they want, which is their leader anyway, don't you think the government should, like you said, consider alternatives to resolve this issue, maybe dialogue or something, so that they don't continue in this way, because it's not necessary.
No, Jumoke, no individual or group can be greater than the state. I disagree. You don't say because you are...
So no other option to resolve?
No, there are options. What you have just stated must not be tolerated in any society, or else it will be an invitation to anarchy. That because a group of people believe this is what we hold dear to our hearts, is either we get it or all hell broke loose. No way. No government would allow that. I think what we need majorly, if we have groups like this, it is for the security agencies to advise the government to put in place measures to debrief them. Because for people to have this mindset, they must have been briefed. They must have been indoctrinated. So it is the responsibility of government, in order to ensure societal peace, to ensure that such ideology is also countered with other messages to debrief them of that do or die mentality. So that's because you believe this is my ideology, it is either against, so when your ideology clashes with national security, which you say because we are afraid that, or because we want you to get your way, then we should jettison whatever will bring peace and prosperity to the larger, because if you look at like the utilitarian principle, the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So do you mean because I don't know the population of the sect compared to the generality of the population of Nigeria, that you are saying based on their mindset, we should leave our collective interest and go no to satisfy them? No way, I will subscribe to, or else I also sitting down here tomorrow, I will raise up my own thing.
How far do they have to go before the government does what it should do? How far do
I've just said it. What they need to do is to, educate, to mobilize, to entice.
The question is actually how more violent?
How more violence
do they need how more violent they need to get before they receive government attention?
The issue is receiving government attention. If they get more violent, I'm sure the state will respond to them appropriately. But it is not in anybody's interest.
Okay.
To go
now, there's an international dimension to the discussion. Earlier on in discussion, you actually alluded to the intervention of a foreign country in the issue. It has happened again. Yesterday, the Nigerian envoy to Iran was actually invited over concerns of the Iranian government in this matter. Now, what can you make of all this?
Well, it is not out of, religion is an ideology that has no boundaries. And it is not out of place if we say it here that, it is common knowledge that Iran is the major sponsor or financier of this group, and that they have their headquarters, or they have affiliations to Iran. So it is right that Iran has shown interest in the matter. I think we should also encourage Iran to admonish them that, look, if you have this type of interest in this matter, it means you must have a relationship with them. Therefore, please, can you please help us also in admonishing them to keep the peace while we resolve the issues? Because so long as the threat to national security stands, the prevailing security situation will remain the same with regards to the detained leader. So if Iran is showing interest in the matter, there's nothing wrong. But Iran's interest in the matter must be in conformity with the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We won't jettison our national interest to satisfy a foreign interest. It is not done anywhere in the world. And I'm sure the Nigerian government will not be responsible to toe that line. So in this case, Iran showing interest in the matter also requires us to also appeal to Iran that the government has the responsibility to maintain law and order. And so long as a group constitutes a threat to law and order, the government will wield the big stick, will apply the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if you have a way of getting in touch with them, please do, such that we all have peace. Because once they continue to remain on the violent path, they will be attracting, appropriate sanctions. And I'm not sure anybody wants, people to be killed or injured just because of a religious cause. Because I know, as a Christian, I'm a Christian, I believe that all religion preaches peace. Because without peace, we cannot practice our religion anywhere in the world. So it is very, very germane that in the practice of our religious faith, that we should put peace first, then our religion comes to it.
All right, does the National Human Rights Commission have a responsibility in this kind of case?
Yes,
any way they can intervene?
The National Human Rights Commission has the responsibility also, because it's a body created by the federal government to address the infringements on rights of individuals, and where the commission is availed the facts. Don't forget, the commission is not a court of law. The commission can only make recommendations to the appropriate agencies, and if you are an individual, the commission can make appropriate recommendations on your behalf to the states, as well as advise you the way to go. So they have a response, because what has happened in this case is part of the responsibility of the National Human Rights Commission, and I'm sure they must be in touch with the states, availing them their own recommendations on the issues.
All right, let's take a call. Let's just sample people's opinion on what we are discussing. Hello? All right, we lost the call. All right, so, all right, you can.
The National Assembly was supposed to be the host to the Shiite member system.
Yeah.
That means I want to actually believe that the Shiites must have actually had the kind of confidence in the legislative process leading to...
Okay. Hello,
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. Hello, I can
Yeah,
hear
you are on.
Good morning.
Give me a second.
Hello, good morning. Go on.
Yeah, you can come. Yeah, yes.
Go on. Hello, good morning.
So, continue.
Yeah. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from? Where are you calling us from? All right, please go on. All right.
Give him a
Please
signal.
stop. Go on, go on. Sorry, you really can't hear us. Maybe you can call back.
All right. The point I was trying to say that the fact that they more or less believe in the legislative process leading to the bill maybe freedom for their leader, does that not suggest that they believe in the rule of law and they believe they can get justice without being violent? Maybe the things got out of hand.
No, I don't believe so. I'm aware that this Shite group have visited the National Assembly before, and they met with some, some principal officers of the 8th National Assembly who came out to address them. So that was the same thing they were supposed to go back and do yesterday. But
but they were prevented. I'm sure because they were prevented from gaining access. They now felt, oh, you don't even want us to talk.
I, sitting down here, we've taken several protests to that National Assembly. And when we are prevented from getting in, we stay within the entrance where the vehicles come in. The National Assembly has this entrance at the left, vehicles come on the left, vehicles come on the right. We stay in the middle there, we continue with our songs. Definitely the National Assembly has security agencies, and even the legislators themselves will be going in. So at the end of the day, when you remain there, they will come out and address you. If you have submitted a petition and you have not had response, your responsibility is to serve them a reminder. Rather than for you, if the National Assembly, like I said earlier, is a security zone, it's just not a place where anybody can walk in. If anybody is allowed to walk, we don't know who is coming there to harm the other person. So the security checks must be maintained and they must be obeyed. So if the security operative stops you from going in, I'm sure the security operatives there are very responsible enough to say, look, you all cannot go in at the same time. Please, can you identify your leaders such that we'll be able to communicate to the chambers so that they come out and address you. But when you are prevented from going in and you want to take the laws into your hands in going in, definitely that is what will occur.
All right, let's see. Now, hello. Hello, good morning. We lost the call. All right.
So like I'm saying, people must recognize that we're a country governed by rules. We're a country governed by laws. And no matter your provocation, you must learn to obey the laws. The country is greater than each and every one of us. If we want a society where whatever I feel should take precedence over any other thing, then the society is endangered. It should not be so.
So where at the point we are now, what's the way forward? How do we progress, peacefully along this line?
The way forward, like I've said, is for the Shite movement to start an advocacy, to start agitations around what the organization stands for. Let the Nigerian people, let the security agencies themselves come to see you as a law-abiding organization. Severally, you have been termed a violent organization. This is not the first time they are clashing with the security operatives. You remember the clash they had with the security operatives in, was it 2011 or 12, where 2 of the sons of El Zazaki lost their lives. So they've had this history of clashes with the security, with the states, let me put it that way. So they need to orientate the mindset of their followers that, look, this religion does not preach violence.
We have someone on the line.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
The line is network.
I think we need to advise our callers to first and foremost, reduce the audio of their TV set before they actually get across. Otherwise, we will not be able to communicate. So
they need to create an advocacy around what the state stands for.
But you do not seem to be talking. You do not see the same advice you've offered for. There are 2 parties in this case. What advice would you give to federal government?
No, I've told you. The Constitution gives the federal government the powers. Go and read the Constitution. The powers to subsume individual liberty.
So the federal government always has to wait for them to protest?
The federal government has a responsibility to maintain law and order. And part of that law and order is what has happened.
Is the federal government actually making headway in this line? The law and order has already broken down now.
No. Are you seeing them on the street today?
No, but what happened yesterday? Can
Yes,
lives are already lost.
Yes, that is
vehicles were smashed.
That is a natural occurrence, because when we are talking.
Can we actually predict what next?
I can't predict because I'm not God.
I mean,
I'm not a seer,
do.
and I don't know, but that is the responsibility of the security agencies.
But you just said that has succeeded in maintaining law and order.
I said the government the government does not know what I'm planning in my house. If I'm going to break into the bank tomorrow morning, it is when I get there that the CCTV camera and the security operatives will come there, to stop the robbers. So, because man by nature is full of evil, does not mean that the government can predict what goes on in the mind of. Because when we are talking of government, we are talking of human beings like you and I.
So proactively, what should the government do?
Proactively, what the government should do is that the government should ensure that the peace and stability is maintained, so that we don't have this breach that like we witnessed before. Also, we as citizens, as a society, I've said it earlier on, that powers to determine what constitutes national security that resides solely in the hands of the executive is what we should look into. That should it be only one body, one organ of state that can determine what constitutes national security, or we want to whittle down that part so that other organs of state can also be able to give, their views on the subject. That once the executive says we are holding this man in the interest of national security, and the National Assembly can see and affirm it, then it stands. But where the executive is holding on to it, and when the National Assembly says no, it is not so, we know that definitely if the executive continues to tread that part, it is treading a part of illegality. But so long as we continue to leave that past in the arms of only the executive.
You're talking about restructuring here.
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about an amendment to the Constitution. Yes, okay. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Well, we can't push it further than what we have done.
Yeah.
All right, that's the package today. We've been discussing with Mr. Nelson Ekujumi. Did I get Ekujumi? Yeah. Comrade Ekujumi, who has actually done a very good job here. I mean, balancing his arguments on both sides. But what we want on this program is peace for everybody in Kaduna State, in the FCT, all parts of Nigeria as a matter of fact. And what actually played out yesterday is something that's reprehensible, condemnable, and everything must actually be done to prevent future occurrence of the clashes between the Shiite or any group at all with the law enforcement agencies in this country. Lives were lost. That is not acceptable in this era. No life is worth losing for whatever the cost. But we need to actually thank our guests for what you have done here today.
Thank you very much.
So, see you some other time.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that's our program this morning. We'll see you again next week for a new edition of the program. Bye. I'm Jumoke Michaels.